So this is the next collection. This is something from Pink's Fresh Studios. Can't think what, but something. I don't have a process video for this. I made this one while I was in hospital as well. This was also for my design team application to be part of the Confessions of a Paper Addict design team. And this was a cut file, I'd like to say made especially for me. Hope Virginia doesn't hear that and go, hey, no, it wasn't. But she asked for requests after we assisted in her crop day, and I requested some gumboots to go with my super cute gumboot photos, and this is what she came up with, so I'm taking it. Thanks, Virginia. So this is does have a video, and this is like the reverse of the cut file. My aunt bought a whole bunch of cut files and doesn't have a cutting machine, so she sent them to me and asked if I would cut them for her, which is totally fine. But I didn't keep what I cut for her. I sent that back to her, but I didn't want to throw away the excess because it looked really cool and I thought I could use it. So this is my take on the brick wall, because she's got the actual inside bits, if that makes sense. I hope so. Running out of embellishments, so sometimes it's nice to keep things a bit empty, especially if you like the pattern page. So I did that on purpose, made sure that, you know, a pretty paper was underneath there so it didn't have to get filled up. So this is that reverse page I was talking about. Don't love this layout. Let's just leave it at that. There's a process video for that. Little man woke up and started throwing up for no reason. Poor little darling. 6 months old. First time making my own bread. I went diet, no soy and no dairy in my diet for a few months, because that was really affecting Tom's sleep and tummy. And so this is the first time, because it's very difficult to buy bread in Australia just at the supermarkets that doesn't cost an absolute fortune, that has no soy in it. So I got a bread machine off my mum, thanks mum, and you could buy like bread flour packet mix from the supermarket. So I was buying those big massive bags of like 16 loaves of bread and just making my own twice a week. Yes, I ate a lot of bread. Also have a process video for this one, just gone up the other day, using up a whole bunch of tags and things. You can see here, where I've run out of tag. I've just used white paper, which sounds really silly to say I've run out of tag. Look how many I put on there. I really wanted to use these ones that actually came in the collection, not the ones that came from the exclusive cut apart sheet. Silly, but I wanted to. Matt did the special fun run, which was run by the Royal Children's Hospital, which is obviously where Lincoln spent the first 3-4 weeks of his life, so it was a bit special for us. So Matt did that, I want to say the day we got out of hospital or the next day after we got out of hospital. Yes, that's when it was, but it hasn't happened yet. I'm like, but I haven't been to hospital yet. This is just when he received his pack for the run. He hasn't actually done it yet. I made before I went into hospital, I had a real scare with Thomas. He just wasn't feeding. I didn't feel like my milk supply was going well. So I really started to panic. He wasn't sleeping, he wasn't feeding. I was not in a good place. So I started baking breastfeeding cookies and just changed my diet and just really tried to pump everything up that I could to try and get this little one, who just looks totally gorgeous. You wouldn't know, would you? But he was a mess. To try and get this little one back where I knew he should be. So we are in April now. This is the beautiful Cocoa Vanilla Studios Happiness Collection. This is the week I went into hospital with Thomas. I know I mentioned this in probably this layout, in one of my layouts, but if you're wondering, so I took Thomas to a private hospital where I gave birth to my boys, just coincidentally. Doesn't matter what kind of coverage you have in Australia, it is a service that they offer for babies that don't sleep and for mums that really need a break and really need some help. Basically at this hospital you go in for 5 nights. So we went in on a Monday and we got out on Saturday morning, and you spend 5 nights at hospital, just you and your baby and 5 other mums. Dads are at this particular hospital, dads are welcome to come and stay pretty much any time of the day and night that they want to, but they can't sleep the night. The rooms are only equipped with single beds. Like the sister branches in other suburbs do have double beds, so the husbands are welcome to stay, but just in this branch they only have single beds. You could also swap out, so if your baby was old enough to not need breastfeeding or they already took a bottle, you're more than welcome to swap out, and the mum could go home for the night or whatever, and the dad could stay with the baby. So it's not actually discriminatory between only mums or only dads, it's just usually the mum, because as we know, that's kind of how babies work, they go with the mum. But anyway, and they set out some goals for us to work out what we wanted to get achieved with Thomas. And yeah, we just spent 5 days in there. So the reason I went in, just in case you're wondering, Thomas was waking up every hour for 3 months overnight. He was still feeding 6 or 7 times in 24-hour period at 6 to 7 months old, which is the same as what baby Lincoln was doing, and he's 5 months younger. So I knew, based on my previous experience with my oldest child, which I know babies aren't the same, but that 6 or 7 feeds at 6 months old is maybe 1 or 2 too many, and waking every hour overnight is obviously too many. When I changed my diet, I was able to get him to sleep in 3-hour blocks, which was quite a big improvement, but still not enough. And I knew he needed to be better than that. But I was finding it really, really hard at home with Jack helping to be able to really focus on Tom and get that sorted and to do it on my own. So the decision was made by my husband and myself to get my mum and dad to come down and help look after Jack while I was obviously away for the week. And yeah, spent a week at the hospital. So the ladies there are really amazing. They really helped Thomas learn to cut back on his feeds. So I went in feeding Thomas probably 6 or 7 times in 24 hours and came out feeding him more like 5 times in 24 hours, which was just brilliant. I went in with him waking every hour or maybe every 3 hours on a good night, and I came out with him sleeping in blocks of sort of 4. I'd dream feed him at 11. He'd go to bed at about 7. I'd dream feed him at 11, and then he'd wake at about 5. So it's that 6-hour stretch. So that was amazing in 5 days. So that was amazing. And now it's been 2 months. He sleeps through the night. So now he's on 3 feeds: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I obviously eat solid food, and he goes to bed at 7 and he wakes up at about 6:30. So absolutely amazing. I knew that probably our biggest issue was actually feeding, not sleeping, but I got to a stage where I couldn't get him to feed any less. I would resettle him without feeding him, and I would offer him other things. I'd give him water, I'd give him food, I'd give him rusks, I'd give him puree, I'd give him as many different things as was appropriate, and I just couldn't. He just wanted to be fed. So just having the assistance of professionals and a bit of a break was massive. So yeah, sorry if you didn't want to hear all of that backstory, but you did. So we caught the bus actually to the hospital, because the hospital is literally on the same street that I live on. Not quite, but you have to walk like half a block to get to the bus stop, and then from the other bus stop another half a block to get to the hospital. So nothing, but quite a long distance from this end of the street to that end of the street. But the hospital car parking is $25 a day. and there was no real way for Matt to be able to get to my car on Monday and get it back home again until Grandma and Grandpa arrived on Wednesday, because Jack goes to daycare on Monday, Tuesday, so he didn't need Mum and Dad there until Wednesday. I'm like, well, still, that would have been $50 in parking alone. So I drove up the night on Sunday night before I checked in and dropped off my big massive suitcase, and then on the Monday I just caught the bus down. I thought I was really clever. I got a process video for this one. Beautiful, beautiful chain stitching of this gorgeous cut file that is available in the Confessions of a Paper Addict shop, and this is like my celebration of getting onto the design team. It's the first time I've ever really been on a design team. I've done guest designing before for the Kidaholics kits, but I've never actually had my own real position on a design team that I actually, you know, put in an application for and did specific requirements and all of that. So I was very proud. So is this one. So this actually, even though I say I'm always using the kit, this was actually 90% stash. The backing paper was stash. All the papers that I used to fill the cut file was stash. The only part that was actually from the kit from this month were the little real flowers that I included on here. But I used colors that just tied in so perfectly, it still looks like it's part of the collection. The sequins were from an old, like they're the same ones I used in that first month. I just was trying to use them up. And there's also a few other bits and bobs from Field Notes, I think, in here. Yeah, there we go. Because I have I keep my kit, like a lot of people do, I keep my kit in one of these iris containers. And so each month when I get the next kit, I just sort of add it to what's already here. I'll put the thickers into my stash, but like any of these, I probably put these little tiny bits of paper into my scraps collection, but any of the sort of larger ones, I keep them here just in case I want them in the next following month. So this does start to get a little bit full. There's a little cut file I've got ready for something else, but I don't want to waste it if I didn't use it. So these things, they're all a little bit big for Project Life pockets, so unless I put them on a title, I can't really use those. And then all my little bits of like sequins and stuff that came in collections. So I just want to keep those handy so I don't forget to use them. And then I just put the next month either in this one as well, but this one's starting to get a little bit full. So I'll probably put May, because I haven't started May yet, into another one of these, all fresh and clean just for itself. So almost finished. Another little tiny insert here, but I wanted to celebrate Easter because Jack's doing his Easter egg hunt, so I couldn't quite fit that. I didn't know what other photos to get rid of in the week, so I just thought I'd pop in a little one. Oh, this was also a cut file from Confessions of a Paper Addict. My sister, I cut this for my sister because she doesn't have a cutting machine. Well, she does. She just got one for her birthday. But it was so cute. I didn't want to lose like the back part, so I thought I would use that myself as well. And then that's using one of the Happy Horizontals that we learned from Janet. This is another, sorry, you can probably hear a little bit of my son in the background. Oh dear. Almost finished, guys. Just a tiny bit longer, okay? They're with their daddy, but they've just discovered that mummy's out here. I was trying to hide. I will quickly wrap this up then. I've probably been long enough anyway. So I really loved so this was the beautiful paper from Happiness Collection, Cocoa Vanilla Studios, that had a gorgeous wreath design on it, which I actually have used in a layout in my son's album. But I really loved the backing paper too. So I've fussy cut the wreath very carefully using a Stanley knife and have kept that. and then flipped over and covered the gap, the hole, with this other wreath that was cut, again, from a Confessions of a Paper Addict cut file. Sorry, I sound like an advertisement. I don't mean to. I just want you to know where I'm getting all of my cut files from. And then just use some green paint and green paper and white paint in the background, just to sort of dull out the colors a little bit. So yes, almost done. Just one more week to go. So this actually technically should be the end of April, because it's until April the 28th, but I didn't know what to use with the opposite side. So I felt I needed to put the first week of March on the other side as well, because it would have been blank. No real reason. Also, Porter Dyson. Oh my lordy, does it suck. Like, my carpet was clean. This was just the rug in the lounge room. It's embarrassing. Don't look. So yeah, this should technically be May, because it's from the 29th of April to the 5th of May. But it just made more sense to put it on the back of that layout. And so I just kept going with the Happiness collection. And then in my next album, I will keep going with May, using my May kit. This was a sketch challenge. Pretty sure I filmed that. Don't think it's been released yet. Oh yes, it has. It has been released. But yes, I filmed that. There's some more of the Fields Note collection. So I just sort of shove in, oh, that letter K. I hope it's not stuck sideways. Let's see. Is it stuck down? Oh, it is. I did this literally last night, really quite late, because it is, I know this has been released in August, but it's actually still July, which that's fine, but this is for the month of April. And I know for some people that's not very far behind, and it's pretty good. That's a little bit annoying, but anyway. That is pretty good, I do agree. But for Tom's album, I haven't even started January in Tom's album yet. So I am 7 months behind in Tom's album. So I was really trying to keep this 2019 album up to date so that Tom's album would, you know, it'd just be a little bit easier. But anyway, that hasn't happened. Life. So one more layout. This also has a process video. This is a scrap lift of the amazing Jess McKenzie, who's Mac Girl Creates on Instagram. And that's it. Ta-da! So I hope you have enjoyed having a flick through of my album. I hope the glare hasn't been too much. I hope you have liked seeing the way I use my monthly kit and the way I use that kit just for each month. Don't use a lot from my stash though, which would be a pain for people wanting to use their stash, but it is a great way of using up pretty much your entire kit. I basically have not much left at the end of each month, just a few of the sort of bigger things that I find more challenging to use on layouts. Other people might not. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this. Please, if you're interested in any of the particular layouts, check the process videos listed below. If you have any questions or any comments or just anything at all, feel free to ask or email me if you want, whatever. We sometimes get emails from amazing people that like tell me how to pronounce things properly, or tell me information about themselves, or tell me where they get things from, or just anything. Do not feel, I will not be offended about anything, especially if you're polite. And I love to hear from you. So if there's anything you want to know or anything you want to tell me, please do. Otherwise, happy August, and we will have a lot more videos coming up. We've got something really exciting coming up for September, really exciting for us and our channel. Really busy, a really busy month of September, so hit the bell so you can get a notification each time we pop up a new video. Otherwise, keep checking back on our channel if you're in Australia. Every Wednesday and Saturday we've got new videos that go up. I think in America they probably go up every Thursday and Sunday. But yeah, thank you very much. We really love all your support, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone.